Hey guys, what's up? It's Savannah. Welcome back to another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. Thank you so much for joining me here today. I am so happy that you are here. If you're new here, hi, my name is Savannah and I'm your host of My Thoughts Exactly. Before we get started, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here every single Friday on the podcast. You're not going to want to miss it. We also upload the video version on Fridays on YouTube as well. So make sure you are subscribed. And with that being said, you guys, happy Friday. I hope you all have had a great week. And if you haven't, guess what? It's the weekend. It's Friday. You did it. It's over. Happy Friday, you guys. I have had a very good week so far. I'm recording this on Wednesday. So, the week is halfway over. We're getting there. We're moving along. I told you guys last week that Hayden and I were going to like this treehouse farm thing situation. It's not a farm, but they're called Bolt Farm treehouses in Chattanooga, which is like 2 hours away from Nashville. We went there on Friday. We got back on Monday. It was honestly so amazing, you guys. It was such an amazing experience, and take it from someone who's not a camper. Look at me and tell me that I look like I'm the type of person that's going to go camping. I'm not, and it will never be me. I'm not a glamper either. I just feel like there's no point, but I will say this was so fun and amazing. They're basically like these domes in the middle of nowhere, and it's equipped with like everything that you need, and each one has its own like, patio and jacuzzi and shower, like outdoor shower, and like little sitting area outside. It was seriously the most amazing getaway. If you follow the Instagram page, which again, shameless plug at My Thoughts Exactly Instagram, you probably saw some of the pictures that I was posting about it. The first night we got there, it was really rainy, but we were stepping outside afterwards, like later in the evening. There was a freaking rainbow, you guys, the biggest rainbow I've ever seen. It was unreal, like a literal surreal core memory for sure. And I just had the most amazing time. It was the most amazing reset. But now we are back to reality, and we are back with another What Would Sav Do? I told you guys last week that there was literally so many What Would Sav Do, questions that you guys had that we have to do a part 2. And this quite literally has never happened before. And I'm not complaining because you guys have, your shit to say. I have answers. I have advice. If you don't know what a What Would Sav Do is, it's where you guys ask me what me, Sav, hey, hi, hello, would do in your situation. And I let you know what I would do. So that's a What Would Sav Do. We do these probably like once a month. This is twice a month because it's a rare occasion. You guys there's a lot going down this summer, so we need to get to the bottom of it. But I'm very excited because I love doing these. They're some of my favorite segments to do. And yeah, with that being said, I'm going to shut up and we're going to get into it right now. So how we're going to do this is I'm going to go back to the questions that you guys asked last week that I didn't get the chance to get to. And then I asked you guys, like I kind of did an update today. I was like, if you have any last minute ones that you want to throw in there, just toss them in to the pile. So we're going to start with last week's and then we'll move on to the ones that you guys had for this week. So that's how we will do this. So we're going to just get right on into it. First one. I work in advertising. My whole team got laid off in April because the brand we advertised went to a different company. And a lady from another team who also got laid off offered me an interview at her new company, but it'd be a different department and I'd be advertising pharmaceuticals instead of regular brands. I want to stay in regular brand advertising and in the same department I worked in, but I don't want to be rude. I agreed to interview, but what would Sav do? I can understand how you might think that this is a difficult situation and like a tricky position to be in, because obviously like you want to be cordial and nice, especially when it's with like a previous coworker and you guys are kind of like in the same situation. I can totally understand where you would come from with that. But I think that at the end of the day, you need to look out for the best interest of yourself. And you can go through the interview just to see if this is something that you would possibly want to be interested in or something that you could be interested in the future. You never know until you have that conversation with them. But if you're pretty adamant on the fact that you don't want to stray away from just like regular advertising, then I would just stick with that. And I don't think it's being rude. I think that you're just looking out for the best interest of yourself. And I think that that's a very not an easy thing, but it's a very like a logistical thing. Like it's a logistical thing for someone to understand. And I would just be like, hey, listen, like I'm really excited for this new endeavor that you're about to go on. And like I'm support you 100%, but I just don't think that this company aligns with kind of like what I want to do in my own personal career and like where my career goals are. So I think I'm just going to look elsewhere. But again, like I really appreciate you even taking the time to consider me and XYZ. Like I would probably phrase it like that just because you're acknowledging the fact that, you still are supportive of them and everything that they want to do and want to accomplish. But at the same time, this is just not what aligns with you at the moment. And that's very, very fair. And that's very, very okay. So I wouldn't stress too much about it. I would just put your focus into finding a new position and finding, a new, job for yourself. And she will continue to do what she wants to do in her company. And you guys can, remain friends or not. And maybe you go in different directions. Who knows? But I would say that as far as what your question pertains to, I wouldn't be too worried about hurting her feelings, because at the end of the day, it is business. And I think especially if someone is a business owner and like starting their own company and kind of doing that whole thing, that they would understand that. So that's my 2 cents. I've been hurt many times in relationships, but I've recently fallen in love with my childhood friend. How do I open up my heart again? He really could be it for me. Okay. Here's what I have to say pertaining to heartbreak and just kind of putting yourself back out there in the dating scene. I think that at the end of the day, you do yourself a disservice by not taking certain risks and not taking certain chances. What is scarier to you? Is it scarier to go through another heartbreak, or is it scarier to go through your life constantly wondering what would have happened had I put myself out there, or had I put myself in a position to possibly grow another relationship with someone who could have been it for me? You don't want to ever look back on your life and wonder what if, or if they could have been the one that got away. I know in my life personally, when I have like strayed away from certain scenarios because I'm guarded, first of all, it's okay to be guarded. And I think that it's, important to a certain extent to protect yourself. But I kind of got to a point in life where I realized I never wanted to look back and wonder what could have happened if I tried. I think that that's where the shift happened for me, because I finally understood that, I could sit back and just close myself off from everyone forever, or I can put myself out there and experience love again, like experience being in love, experience finding my person. Like, I'm not going to find my person if I never allow myself to open up again. Heartbreak is inevitable in life. It's scary, but it is inevitable, and it just sucks because it's one of the truths of life that is just it's just something that we all wish that we didn't have to go through, but somewhere down the line we are. And I think that everything happens for a reason. And if this is your person, fantastic, amazing. And you're going to be so happy that you actually were able to get yourself into a position of, being vulnerable again and being open with your heart again. Or on the flip side of that, let's say it doesn't work out. You're going to be okay. If you go through another heartbreak, it's going to suck, but you're going to be okay. And you're going to learn from it. Like, think about all of the things that you'll be able to say, like, at least you did it. At least you won't look back and be like, oh, I wonder what would have happened if I actually put myself out there. I think at the end of the day, what I realized, like I said, is that no, like just staying stagnant and not having any change is scarier to me. It is scarier to me personally to look back in my life and be like, what would have happened if I tried? Or what would have happened if I put myself out there or was open about my feelings? Clearly your feelings are there, and I would just, put them on the table. I would just have the conversation. This is a childhood friend of yours. This isn't someone who, doesn't care about you at all. You're lucky to be in a position that it is someone who, to at least some extent, there is a little bit of, a background. You guys do care about each other. And I think it is important to just be very honest. Like, just be honest with your feelings. And if it doesn't go the way you want to, at least you'll have your answer and you'll never have to look back and be like, what if? And I don't say that like without understanding like the weight that it also carries. Like, I know I'm sitting here right now and being like, you don't want to ever look back. Like, I get that that's scary. I do. I understand that that's like, it's easier said than done. But from someone who has done it, I think it's the right move. Okay, next one. What would Sav do if me and my boyfriend both want to be in the relationship, but he is not driven to be better by anything? Okay, this is really hard because I've been in this situation before many times, many, many times. I have a tendency to, I have a savior complex. That's really what I'm trying to get at here. I have a complex where I see someone who I feel like I can save. I wouldn't even call it savior. I would call it Superman. Like, I want to come in and save the day. I want to come in and be like, how can I help you? We're going to get this right, da 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 da, ba 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 ba. And I'm going to set you up for success. And then we are just going to be smooth sailing together and we're going to be a power couple and this and that. What I've realized is that there is nothing that you can do in this world, nothing you can say, nothing you can threaten by like leaving, nothing that you can, give someone. You can hand someone the world on a silver fucking platter. If they do not have the motivation to be better or want to do more with their life, it will not happen. And that is a sad, harsh, big sister truth right now of I can understand you want to be in a relationship with someone, you love someone, you want the best for them, they want the best for you, you both want the relationship to work. But at the end of the day, if they are not putting in the work, then it's just simply empty words. And you need to ask yourself, do you want to be with someone like that? Does your ideal partner, is that the quality that you want them to have? Is that the type of person that you want to be with? Someone who is not motivated, someone who is not driven, someone who is complacent and comfortable and does not have, the fire underneath them to make their life better. I know in the past when I have dated people like this, I have bent over backwards. I am embarrassed to tell you guys the things that I have done to try and set people up for success before. I had one specific ex-boyfriend and he, I don't want to say that he didn't have any like goals because he did, but the goals that he had were like, let's be realistic here. And he just, and I don't mean that in a bad way because I always want people to dream big, but he didn't have any real motivation or drive to like be better as a human along with that, along with trying to achieve these like, in my opinion, kind of crazy goals. And like, I don't know, I did everything. I got him jobs, I got him internships, I got him every possible thing that I could do to try and get him to want to be better and challenge him. And, I was willing to move my entire life around and twist my world upside down to just like kind of make him a little bit happy just because I wanted the relationship to work so badly. But at the end of the day, I realized that by doing that, I wasn't being true to myself and I wasn't choosing myself. I was choosing to be complacent and I was choosing to be comfortable because he was. By being with him, that was the life that I was choosing. And I want more for myself. I want better for myself. I want a better life than that. And you need to ask yourself, is that the same for you? Are you comfortable with this being your life? Like the person that you're with, is that okay with you? Are those the qualities in the person that you want to spend, let's say the rest of your life with? Are those the qualities that if you do decide that you want to have children, are those the qualities that you want a father figure to have for your kids to look up to? These are the questions that you really need to ask yourself, because I think that this is when like, head versus heart comes into play. Like your head's telling you one thing, your heart's telling you another. You might really, really want to be in the relationship and love this person. But at the end of the day, if they are not stepping up to the plate and showing the qualities that they're capable of, being with you and they're worthy of being with you, then I don't know. I know just from my own personal experience, I wish I got out earlier. I wish I did myself a favor and got out earlier. That wasn't the only reason I left. He cheated on me like left, up, down, left, right, center, like a million times over. But that was also a big part of it, is that he just had, very little motivation and very little drive. And again, it just wasn't it, was not it. So that's what I'll tell you. That's my big sister advice for you, is just ask yourself those questions and really see if this is the type of person that you want to be with, truly. Okay, next one. How long do you keep a friends with benefits around before you know it's a waste of time? Okay, this is interesting to me because if we are already clear that this is, okay, let's start from the beginning. Friends with benefits. My definition of a friends with benefits is kind of the same definition that I have of like a sneaky link almost. It's like, we're friends, we can hang out in groups and like it's chill, it's very low pressure, but like at the end of the day when everyone goes home, like you're still staying and we're doing X, Y, and Z, and then you're going home and we're not texting, we're not talking. Like it's not like that. I think that I don't know what the difference would be between like friends with benefits and situationship. I think maybe the spectrum goes like situation or no, sneaky link, friends with benefits, situationship, relationship after that, obviously. But like, I think that's probably the spectrum, maybe. I think that if you are friends with benefits with someone and you want it to go further, I think that you need to have a conversation. This is why I think friends with benefits is so messy. And I'm not faulting you for this because I've been there so many freaking times and I've done it so many freaking times and I've always expected a different outcome. But what I will tell you is that I think it's important to have a conversation. I would have a conversation with the person that you're friends with benefits with, and I would just say, listen, I know that this kind of started out as XYZ, like this is what we were doing, and it was kind of this in the beginning, but through this and over time, I may have sort of developed some feelings and I do like you. And I just don't know if I'm going to be able to continue. And I don't think I will be able to continue just doing what we're doing just for the sake of my own feelings. I think you just need to be very matter of fact about it. And this is how I feel, especially like when you go into like a what are we conversation. Don't go into it being like, do you like me? Like, what do you think of this? Like, where do you see this going? Like, it's important to go in just being like, this is where I stand. You can tell me where you stand, but like, this is just kind of where I'm at with it. And this is how I would like to proceed. If you're not on the same page, that's fine. But I don't think I'll be able to move forward if we don't really see a common end goal here. And I think that that conversation scares a lot of people, me included. Okay. Me included. I've avoided having this conversation so many times, me included, because you have to be prepared for the conversation going either way. You have to be prepared for that person to say, you know what, we might not be on the same page. And then you have to stand by what you say. You have to stand on business. And then you have to kind of like, distance yourself from that person. I think friends with benefits is really tricky because there's, that friendship level that you have while also having that like sexual aspect to it, but you're not going on dates, like you're not doing all of that type of stuff, because I would qualify that into like the situationship pile. So friends with benefits is very tricky, but I would definitely have that conversation. And by the way, it's really freaking normal. Like, I think we need to talk about that too for a second. Don't get on yourself and beat yourself up. Not saying that you are, but something that I did in the past. And just like for anyone who's in this position or has been, I think that they could agree. Like, it's easy to be like, fuck, like I screwed up. Like I caught feelings with the friends with benefits. Like you're not supposed to do that. It is quite literally not, like, I don't want to say not possible, but very few times can you have an ongoing physical relationship with someone and not care about them to some degree. Okay. Especially if you're friends. It's easier if you're a sneaky link because it's like a whatever, but like, especially if you're friends, that, that level of caring is already there. So it's obviously going to impact it more when you add in the physical element. It's just natural. It's probably science, honestly, but that's what I have to say about that. I would say have the conversation. Just have a little chit chat and be prepared for either response. And by that response, you'll know if it's a waste of time or not, if it's on to the next. Okay, hold up a second. I don't mean to laugh, but I need clarification because this one says, what would Sav do? Am I overreacting when my emotional incest mother-in-law sends her son Hawk to a memes? Okay, you said emotional incest, so I think I kind of am catching your drift here. I think that that's weird. If you don't know the Hawk to a girl, it's, I would just say Google it. It's been a very viral meme or, video over the past like month. Honestly, it's given me a headache at this point, but I think that if it's like one or two, I'd be like, that's weird, but whatever. If it's a consistent thing, that's strange. I do think that it's strange. Again, if it's like one, maybe two is a stretch. I think anything over one is a little weird, especially if you feel like they have a weird, like emotional incest bond. That is a crazy term. I don't think I've ever heard of that before. But I understand what you're saying. And I think that you're not overreacting if it's like if she's sending multiple, I'd be like, why is your mom like thinking of you like this or like okay with engaging in conversation with you like this? I would see, what your is it your fiance or is it your husband? Hold on, let me see. I'm gonna go back. It doesn't say. Okay, your emotional incest mother-in-law. I don't think you're overreacting, but I do think that it's a dangerous fine line to walk when you are um coming into the situation of like mother-in-law relationships. I think that I know personally I've seen my friends date guys who like really want to be dating their mom or vice versa. Like their mom would literally date them if they had the chance to. And I just think it's such a strange thing. But what I will say is I don't think you're overreacting. I think if it's multiple, I would tell your significant other that it makes you uncomfortable. I'd just be like, this is weird. And I don't understand why you don't think that this is weird. It's very odd because that should not be happening. I understand families are very close. I am super close with my family. I talk to my family, every single member of my family, probably once a day, phone call, or at least exchange several text messages with them. Okay. I've gotten into fights with ex-boyfriends over how close I am with my family. I'm very close with my family. We do not do that. We do not do that. And I don't think that that's normal. I think that it's, again, one thing if she wants to send one and be like, I don't know. I don't know what you even say with that. I think it's weird. I don't think you're overreacting. I think that that's strange. Just needed to touch on that one. What would Sav do? I'm butting heads with my parents since I still live at home and I want independence. This is hard because, first of all, I don't really know the context. I don't know how old you are. If you're over the age of 18, I mean, I understand that it's not as easy as just saying like move out. But I do think that if you have the opportunity, then that is something that I would lean towards for sure. And if you can't move out, if you aren't able to for whatever reason, I would start saving up to move out. I think it's really hard when talking about, or not talking about this, but when in being in this situation, because parents always like to be like, it's my roof, my rules type of deal. And I can understand that to an extent. I really can. But I also think that it is important as you get older, over the age of, 18 and just moving into early adulthood. I think that it is important to have some sort of independence. I think that especially once you surpass a certain age, that independence is really crucial. I do think it's important. And I think that maybe it is worth having a conversation with your parents and be like, listen, I can totally understand that you guys are protective. You want me to be safe, whatever the reason is. But I also am so and so age, and I would appreciate a little bit more leeway with the independence that I have. I would like to come to a compromise to figure out what we can do to make you guys feel comfortable, but also allow me to kind of have that independence that I'm looking for while I'm still here. That's what I would do. I would open up that conversation and just be very transparent. At the end of the day, our parents do want the best for us. I would like to believe. And they love us and they want us to be safe. And I think especially being young girls, like that's also a thing that comes into the factor too. I remember my dad always telling me growing up that he didn't like, it's not that he didn't care whenever my brother came home, but my parents were not on my brother as much as they were on me, like ever. Like even after because I didn't move out till I was 24, and even up until that point, like my mom would always be like, what's the update? Like, when are you coming home? My dad too. When are you coming home? Like they never really did that to my brother. It was mainly me. And it was, it's because of my safety and all of that. Not that they didn't care about my brother's safety, but I think you catch my drift. I would just have a conversation. And if they're still not budging, I would start saving. Okay, next one. I'm talking to a guy and he lives 40 minutes away. He is 17 and I'm 15, and he used to be really into it when we first started talking, but the last few weeks he stalls FaceTiming, hanging out, and responds less. I can tell he's not interested, so I told him on FaceTime, but he tells me he still feels the same. It's confusing to me. Do I break it off before I get hurt? What would Sav do? Okay, let's unpack. I'm going to be very honest with you when I say that I don't think that a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old should be talking or dating. And that might be an unpopular opinion because I do know that, you know, um, I understand that it's like it's legal. You guys are both under the age of 18, but I just think it's the age difference to me just doesn't sit right. Personally, I even think like 15, 16 is different, but like 15, 17 to me is a little I don't know, not loving it. What I will say is I think that you would be doing yourself a disservice to continue talking to him. And it's not just because of your age. I think that the fact that they are 40 minutes away, the fact that they are showing less interest, the fact that they're FaceTiming less, responding less, they aren't really asking to hang out as much. I think that these are telltale signs of, you getting shown that his actions are not lining up with his words. And I think that throughout life, there's going to be many situations that you will find yourself in where people are going to say one thing and they're going to do another. And I think through life experience, you're going to be able to realize that and really just understand and have a better grasp on the fact that actions speak louder than words. And if someone is not treating you, like a queen, if someone is not showing you that they understand how worthy you are, and it's not on like any egotistical bullshit, like it is truly like if someone isn't showing you that they see the value in you and the value in being with you, then they are not worth a second of your time. And I'm saying this with big sister peace and love. Like I want you to start understanding now how valuable you are and how worth it you are and how worthy you are of a healthy type of communication, a healthy relationship, a healthy kind of love. You don't deserve someone who's leaving you questioning and wondering, and you bring it up to them and they say one thing and do another. These are not telltale signs of someone that you want to be with nor should be with. I think it's important to understand this now because it's going to help you in all your future relationships that come out, of your life. I think that it's really something that I wish I could go back and tell my 15-year-old self is, you know, actions speak so much louder than words. Actions show their character. It's easy to say one thing. It is easy to say anything that anyone wants to hear. It's easy to, spew empty promises and empty words, but someone's actions show you who they truly are. And when they show you, you need to believe them because we can sit here and we can be upset that they're not showing us the type of attention that we want or the affection or the relationship that we deserve. It's up to us at that point to make the decision for ourselves to be like, I'm worth more than this. I am worth more than what you're showing me. I am worth more than, some half-assed relationship, and I'm going to go find it elsewhere. I wouldn't worry about the guy who lives 40 minutes away when you're 15 years old. Like I truthfully wouldn't, and I'm not trying to, belittle or discredit your age when I'm saying that, but what I'm saying is I just think that there's more. You could find something else or someone else better, who is maybe a little bit closer to you or maybe a little bit just like in your circle more, someone who isn't, someone who's not half-assing a relationship with you. You don't want that. You don't deserve it. And if I were you, I would distance myself, and not just distance, I would end it. I would just cut and dry, end it right then and there. And again, I know it's a scary thing and I know no one really ever wants to do it. And I understand at 15, 16, and I even had this problem up until I met Hayden. Like I hated the idea of ending it with people. I hated the idea of letting someone go because I was like such an anxious attachment style. And when I felt like things weren't going my way and when I felt like the relationship was drifting, my automatic response was to hold on really tight and to grasp for straws that weren't there because I felt like things were slipping out of my control. And in order to try and save it, I would, grasp at anything I could to try and salvage the relationship. You don't want that. That's not the relationship that you want. That is toxic. That's not healthy. It's not good for you. It's not good for your mental health. It's not good for your sanity. It's not going to help you sleep better at night. None of it. You don't deserve someone who isn't showing up for you wholeheartedly. That's the same for when you're 15 and 25 and 35 and the rest of your life. I don't care. But just if I were you, I would advise you to take a step back and to focus on yourself, focus on your friends, focus on, dating more so in your immediate circle. And I would just go from there because I promise you, in 5 years, you're going to look back and you're going to be like, Psh, the guy that I was, stressing over when I was 15, it's not going to be the same guy. Like it's not going to matter is what I'm trying to get at. And if it does, you can tell me and I'll eat my words, but that's what I have to say about that. What would Sav do if your fiance's brother sent a video of their sister saying she doesn't like you and it starts a whole family frenzy for her to later make up a story about why she doesn't like you, but it never actually happened? See, in this scenario, I would just let people be ridiculous. Like, and what I mean by that is if the sister is making up shit about why she doesn't like you, that says a lot more about her than it does about you. And I understand, I'm a sister. I have 3 siblings who I would like to think I am pretty protective over. So I understand, the initial protection that comes over siblings, as I'm sure a lot of people can. However, at the same time, once you get into the stage of like engagements and marriage and, being in the family for a hot minute, I think that the dynamics need to shift. And at the end of the day, your fiance's sister really should just want her brother to be happy. Like, truthfully, if they don't want, like, above all else, I think that goes without saying that they should just want them to be happy and they should just want to focus on that. And if they're happy, then they should be jumping for fucking joy and just keeping their mouth shut. But again, as I was saying, I would just let her kind of eat this one because it's going to look worse on her. I think it looks worse on, like, where you could start to, maybe it gets a little like wishy-washy is like if you were to react. I think that that's what a lot of people would want in these situations, especially her, because she wants an opportunity to be like, look, see, I told you she was crazy. No, but what are you going to do? You're going to sit there and you're going to just not say a word. You're not going to react because that's what people want in these types of scenarios. They want a reaction. They're looking for a reaction to kind of justify her own stupidity in this situation. And I wouldn't give her the satisfaction of that. So I would just sit back, relax, grab some popcorn, watch the frenzy go about, and watch everyone make themselves look stupid and crazy because that is what's happening. Okay. Next one. I've known my best friend since high school, so almost 10 years. We have grown up a lot together and she has been there for me through everything. Her boyfriend of 3 years might be the absolute worst person I have ever been around. He has poor hygiene, he's arrogant, he's annoying, and he tries so hard to be funny. I find him manipulative and insufferable. One of our mutual friends met him last summer and agreed with me unprompted. The mutual friend made a comment how she just could not stand him and did not understand why she is with him. My friend always says she wants to marry him and that he's just the perfect person for her. She seems very happy. I don't want to hurt her or our friendship. She means so much to me, but I have noticed a shift in her. She is becoming a lot like him. When we saw each other in June, I just felt like she was growing a bit out of touch and that we were growing apart because of this. Do I even bother saying something to her about him? We live across the country from each other. Okay, so here's what I have to say in this situation. I personally think that if you decide to approach your friend about this, 2 things that I would say. First off, you need to kind of prepare yourself for the fact that she will probably be defensive because whenever anyone kind of comes at you in any way about your relationship, especially if you're happy, your automatic response is to defend the person that you're with. And so if you decide that you want to approach her about this, I would just prepare yourself for having that reaction. Secondly, if I were to, if I were in your shoes and I were going to approach her about this, I probably would not do it from the standpoint of I don't like your boyfriend because I don't think that that's going to get you anywhere. I don't think that she is going to receive that kind of information well, and I don't think that that's going to be a productive conversation. If I were going to approach her with this, I would do it from the standpoint of I feel like we're growing apart. I feel like we are growing distant from each other. I feel like our friendship is changing, and you and I have been friends for 10 years. I care about you so much. You're truly one of my best friends, and hurts me to see that our friendship is, is changing and we're growing distant from each other. I would start there because again, I think if you start with, I hate your boyfriend, I think he's insufferable, which I know you wouldn't say those words exactly, but like in a gist, I don't think that that's going to be received well. I also think that it's important to take a step back in these situations because whenever we have a tendency, I think, as humans to kind of be a little bit protective over our friends. Obviously, we're protective over our loved ones. But at the same time, if we are looking at her and she is really happy, like genuinely happy, we don't get to choose who our friends date. We don't get to choose who they pick. We can want the best for them. We can hope that they're going to choose the best person. But sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes we don't like them. Sometimes we can't stand them. Sometimes we think that they're manipulative and insufferable. And maybe they are. But at the same time, if she is really happy and this seems like a healthy relationship, you might not like him, but it's just not your call, and I say that with peace and love. Like, I think that it sucks because, we put our friends on such high pedestals. We want the best for them. We want the best person for them. And it all comes out of good intention. And when we see someone who we don't like be with them, it's like, wait a second, like, why would you ever want to be with someone like that? It's just not our call. Same, it's not the call for who our siblings date, it's the same as that. Like, we don't get to choose who our friends date. We don't get to choose who anyone dates. They get to make that decision for themselves. And I think it's important to just understand that if she's really happy and if this is a healthy relationship, like, even if you don't like the guy, just being supportive of her is going to be the best version of a friend that you can be in this situation. You don't have to be best friends with them. You don't have to, be buddy, but being supportive, I think, is the most important thing. This would be a very different conversation if you were telling me that he's cheating on her or he is abusive or they have a really toxic relationship. But from what you're saying, she does seem really happy. So that's where it's hard because you don't ever want to take that away from her, especially if this is a healthy relationship. So that's what I'll say about that. I think that if you're going to bring it up to her, I would bring it up in a way that talks more so about your guys' friendship and focuses on that aspect rather than focusing on this boyfriend of hers. That's what I'll say. Okay, we're going to end with this one. This is actually very funny. This one just came in, so it's going to be the last one that we do today. It's going to say, what would you do if you were stuck in a jungle with no service? I don't know. I would cry. First thing I would do is I would cry. I would have a panic attack and then I would try. I don't know. This is stressing me out even thinking about it. I don't know. What do you do in that situation? I think it would depend. How far away is civilization? Am I on an island? Can I get out? How long am I going to be stuck there? Am I by myself? Do I get to choose someone to come with me? I have so many questions. If I got to choose someone to come with me, I would probably want, I don't know, like the guy from Man vs. Wild. Do you guys remember that show? I'd probably want him so he can show me how to get out. Or like, I don't know, someone who's like really skilled in that. I don't know who's skilled in being stuck on an island with no service, but I would never put myself in this situation. I don't know who would, but I would never want to be in this situation. I would have a freak out if I was stuck in the jungle, period. I don't care if I have service or not. I would have a absolute freak out. I'm not good in like the jungle, in nature, in the forest. I don't belong there. I don't. Natural selection will take its course very easily. So that's all I have to say. But anyways, you guys, we're going to end it right here. Thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of My Thoughts Exactly. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Again, if you're new here, hi, my name is Savannah. I'm your host of My Thoughts Exactly. Make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That way you never miss an episode. We post weekly here on the podcast every single Friday. You're not going to want to miss it. I'll be back next week with a brand new one for you guys, and I'll see you there. Bye, guys.